It's Sunday, October the 16th, a bit late in the afternoon. This is a do-over. I ran out of tape on the last bit of tape. I thought I could get it done in 10 minutes, but I'm just a little bit too verbose, I guess. So let's just start from the beginning and talk a little bit about where I was. The start really is over the past few weeks I've been taking courses from the teaching company, or great courses. They're on DVD by various professors from different universities, and for the most part I found them really excellent, very well done, very well prepared, and quite informative and interesting. And the most recent one that I've been looking at and watching is on the history of the New Testament. And it really takes the perspective of how was the canon formed, who were the original authors, how did these particular books that are considered the New Testament now how were they selected, and a little bit more on the history of each individual book. And I find that pretty fascinating and very a lot of things that I really didn't realize. And one of the two things that he points out, this is about Christianity in general, is that it's a religion of belief, and he particularly contrasts it to the pagan religion of Rome, which was obviously prevalent at the time Christianity was beginning. And he says that Christianity is really a religion of belief. So what counts is the belief, not the religious practice per se, which was the case with pagan religions. And this is so the beliefs had to be pretty much, well, the second thing he says is that Christianity is a religion of exclusivity, and basically that translates to say there can be no other religion, that it is right and correct, and other people or other religions, let's say, are wrong. And so this combined with this necessitated some canonical set of scriptures that everybody could hopefully agree on, and that would solve the problem of what the right belief. Well, obviously it wasn't quite successful, because we have all kinds of splintering of Christianity today, from the Greek Orthodox to the Catholic Church to Protestant churches, and even today we see continued fragmentation of various denominations within the Protestant side, for sure. So be that as it may, I think it lends a little bit of cultural analysis, or basis for cultural analysis, that this kind of thinking is still pervasive in our culture, and I believe it creates a certain set of problems. The whole idea is that things are based on belief, and that you can believe, I guess, whatever you believe or whatever you want to believe, and in kind of the facts be damned way, and that your correct belief should be I guess elevated to supremacy, a supreme position, because it's a belief that needs to be held. Creates, I think that's in there lies the problems that some religions have with certain things in science, and it translates into opposition to evolution, or an acceptance of evolution. It translates into a lot of resistance to climate change science, and it translates into opposition to stem cell research. And regardless of what evidence might be or what the facts would suggest, some of these people remain adamant against. And I see this in political discussions, and I would have to say probably more on the right today than on the left. In particular example is this morning I watched Fareed Zakaria on CNN, and he had on as part of his panel two people on the panel. One was Steve Forbes of Forbes magazine fame, and who ran for president, I guess, twice, although I don't think he made much of an impact. The second person was Paul Krugman, who's the Nobel laureate economist. And just in listening to the discussion that or the comments that they both had, I came pretty much, it was pretty clear that Krugman is much more analytical. He looks at the evidence. He cited studies based on, the IMF research and other economists, and Forbes was his main point was that the 2008 financial debacle was really the fault of the Federal Reserve, and that they made too much money available, or credit was too easy, and therefore I guess the banks just ran amok. Krugman was pretty clear in saying that the real culprits are the bankers and the financial system, and that needs to be addressed, and things that are looking at for some other cause are usually, my conclusion, I guess, is that that's kind of a distraction or an attempt to take the argument elsewhere. But my point is that Forbes was pretty much just reciting and reiterating and making statements, and I didn't get I didn't hear any kind of supporting evidence or any kind of a thing that would really make a believer out of me on that one. The other example of that, which on the 4th of October, which I guess was a Monday, I watched part of Ben Bernanke's testimony in Congress. I did not see his prepared remarks or hear his prepared remarks, but I did get there and watch some of the question and answer period that followed his prepared statements. I thought that was pretty interesting. In particular, there was one congressman, the congressman from South Carolina, Mulvaney, who wanted to tell Ben Bernanke that we had an inflation problem and that we should really be dealing with that. And that kind of arose out of to me, the Tea Party elements really trying to make a case for something that doesn't exist certainly in the present economy. And I thought Bernanke handled it pretty well, but there's just no case right now that we need to worry about inflation, that we should be tightening up and raising interest rates. And he again was taking the same line that Forbes took, which was to blame the Federal Reserve for making too much money available or providing too easy credit, which just totally flies. I mean, that was probably a fact that the banks got a little crazy in making loans, and there were a lot of they had a lot of help in the rating agencies declaring what was particularly risky as AAA, rating some of these mortgage securities as AAA. So I think there's plenty of blame to go around within the financial system itself. But anyway, my particular bone to pick, if you hear, is that, if you will, is that until we get to the point where we're really looking at evidence and we have people who are really genuinely trying to find solutions, we're going to continue to have serious difficulties as far as our economy is concerned, which will undoubtedly, and already has, translate into discontent on the part of the population, and we are seeing that. It brings me around to OWS, or Occupy Wall Street, which when I first started making these little video vignettes was just a couple of mentions inside the newspaper, and now it has become, I guess, certainly on a daily basis. We see it on television, we read it out in the paper, we hear comments from different commentators, and there have been all kinds of articles. And one of these this morning in the Washington Post by David Ignatius, I thought to be kind of interesting and a little bit pessimistic. So the thing here, I guess, is what he says is that he compares Occupy Wall Street to the Arab Spring, to protests and riots that have taken place in Europe, notably the ones in Tottenham and around London, and just recently there have been some significant and serious riots in Italy, to say nothing of Greece. And that even in China and India, which are pretty much rising economic stars, there have been some frequent, if not widespread, protests for various reasons. And he sees all these as a manifestation, what I'm going to quote here, common indignation toward leaders who are failing to maintain social justice along with global economic change. So he doesn't see growth and prosperity, which for him would kind of restore public confidence. He doesn't see growth and prosperity around the corner, but he does see echoes of the 1930s. And so the most ominous point that he makes is that in the 30s, and I have to read this again, popular indignation veered sharply right and left toward dangerous movements that expressed national indignation at the point of a gun. So he does not see FDR in our future, and so that does not portend well if we cannot get political and business leaders to face up to the very obvious difficulties and decline, particularly in the middle class. I mean, the economic statistics reported recently show that the median wage has actually continued declining, has continued to decline, and you only have to look at the drop in house prices, and foreclosure rates have still maintained themselves, and unemployment has not dropped below 9%. And there's a serious group of people who are underemployed. So we have some real difficulties, and until people get away from their doctrinaire pronouncements and proposals and solutions or explanations, and really face up to the seriousness of the situation for well, let's say 99%, but it's probably less than that, but a very, very significant segment of the population in the United States, we're going to continue to flounder, and there's some real chance that things will actually get worse. So that's my commentary for this Sunday, October 16th.